In this video, mayors share their civil defence and emergency management experience and provide advice on risk reduction, readiness, response and recovery. We hope this will give you an understanding of your role before, during and after an emergency.
The absolute best thing you can do for resilience and the resilience of your communities and of your city or town is to prepare in advance. You can invest in infrastructure and it takes time, so you need to make early steps. It costs money, but for every dollar you invest, you'll save many dollars after the disaster event. But invest time in your communities as well. Little things like having a neighbours' day. It's really important that people are connected and that they have that support, because that feeling of isolation or uncertainty or even loneliness in a disaster event can be a real plague if it goes unchecked. And that's why it's important you've got really strong communities.
This is not one of the things in your role as mayor that you should put to one side and say, oh, well, I'll get to emergency management as a secondary task. It is number one. Put it right at the top of the list of your priorities and make sure that you ask the questions, you get involved, you meet with the people in your community who are the leads in fire and police and the emergency operations centre.
We've got a team of qualified and trained people that meet regularly that are going to be able to respond to our local need when it happens, and we've got a really close relationship with Bonne military camp and the capabilities that they have from there. So get to know who your local networks are and the key people that you're going to need to work with. Get in touch with McDem. You don't want the first phone conversation to be the one when your hill is already on fire and when things are already over the news and you're feeling in an unstable place. You want the relationships to be well formed before the emergency occurs.
Mayors don't be control freaks. We by nature take control. When there's an emergency, we want to take control of it. What you've got a professional team, you've got a controller and a whole team that will do that for you. What you need to ensure, if a new mayor's coming in, what you really need to make sure of is that your council is resourcing the controller, the training and civil defence to the level that it should be at.
Often the challenge is, have you reached the threshold of declaration? And your group controller should be able to talk you carefully through where you sit on the thresholds. Take that advice, but test that advice and know your role. Don't leave this to the moment where you're being asked to declare. Read the material, do the training and do the simulation, and trust yourself, because ultimately that's why you're there.
The resilience for mayors, I would say mayors do need training, and you do need to get ready to do a disaster. You never know when it's going to happen. As a new mayor, it's a big learning curve. Media training is really important. I've never said no to media. During the event for resilience, you do need good comms that will help you.
In a sense, recovery is the most difficult phase. During the response phase, while an emergency is happening, you're running on adrenaline. As it unfolds, and certainly as you move from the response to the recovery stage, the other thing you've got to appreciate is that people will start blaming, and you don't want to take it personally. If people have been through a shocking, dislocating experience, and their home's been flooded or they've had to evacuate because of a fire, it's perfectly understandable.
In terms of the effect on me personally, I still feel that after every incident, no matter whether it's big or small, there has to be a review of performance. It doesn't matter whether it's a commission of inquiry or whether it's just a sit down with those that have been directly involved to look at what we did well and what we didn't do so well. I always say that we can learn almost as much, if not more, from the mistakes that we make, because we all commit to not doing that again.
When I talk about new normal, I think what our community is now seeing is that the impact of weather events is at a scale and level that we haven't seen before, and I have to put a climate change lens around that. Some of the damage that occurs, some of the loss, it's lifelong, and we need to make sure that you recognise that we are an empathetic community, that we as mayors understand that there isn't a way often to clean up all the harm and damage.
For further information on the roles of elected officials in emergencies, please talk to your local and regional emergency management staff.